Ladies and gentlemen, the second episode of Angel's Combat World is finally here. Fresh off of a Saturday night filled with great cards, MMA and boxing. We had surprises, we had upsets, and we had competitive fights and just blowouts. But it was a great night of fights, from the main event of UFC 234 to the main event of Bellator Newcastle to the co-main event of the Alberto Machado card, and obviously Gervonta Davis's spectacular knockout win. It was a great night. It was a great night of fights. So just join me in breaking all this down and just rejoicing in the fact that we are crazy people that are a part of this crazy combat world. So join me here on Angel's Combat World. Angel's Combat World. So here we are, ladies and gentlemen, episode number 2 of Angel's Combat World, coming to you straight after such a great night of fights. Saturday night, we had the UFC card, Bellator card, and 2 boxing cards, and it was hard to keep up, but we got it done. So Bellator came to us straight from Newcastle. And their main card was legit. The first fight of the main card, Fabian Edwards defeated Lee Chadwick 30-27, 30-27, and 3-26 by a unanimous decision. Chris Bongard defeated Terry Brazier via submission, rear naked choke, first round, 2 minutes and 6 seconds. Co-main event, Corey Browning defeated Aaron Chalmers via a heel hook. 20 seconds into the third round. And main event of the evening, the main dish, Patricky Pitbull Freire against Ryan Scope. It was a tight fight to score, but 2 out of 3 judges saw it 29-28 in favor of Patricky Pitbull Freire. Because of the time difference, they ended their card pretty early at 5 p.m. And then we moved on to UFC 234, which, oh my god, the main card of UFC 234 really delivered. They started off with the fight with Jim Crute against Sam Alvey, and a fight that was stopped by TKO. A little bizarre, because when Crute landed some heavy shots and dropped Alvey at first, he walked off doing his best Roy Nelson impersonation, but couldn't seal the deal. And then he jumped on top of him, laid some ground and pound, and referee Mark Goddard thought that was it, that it was enough. When we look at the replay, Alvey had his thumbs up, signaling that he was okay. He was trying to scramble and fight his way out of that uncomfortable position, but referee Mark Goddard thought that it should have been stopped, and it was stopped, and that was the end of that. Sam Alvey was not smiling after that, but hey, that's the fight game. We win or we learn. Montana de la Rosa against Nadia Kassim in a pretty much completely full grappling match, in which Montana de la Rosa took the better part. She won via submission at 2:37 of the second round via armbar. And those of you that saw the fight know what I'm talking about when I mean that it was pretty much a grappling match. It was very entertaining for sure, because for those that are keen to the ground game and really appreciate it, I'm not saying one of them. I really appreciate all around fighting for sure. I am not a ground expert, but I know people that are, and I'm sure they were salivating at each move and each guard pass attempt that each lady brought to the game, and it was a great grappling match for sure, with Montana de Rosa winning by armbar, second round, 2 minutes and 37 seconds. Speaking of submissions and grappling, Ronnie Yaya, who could submit a building, faced Ricky Simon. Simon defeated Yaya via unanimous decision, 30-27 in two of the cards, and 30-25 on a single card, which that's subject for another moment. But the point is that Ronnie Yaya got his streak snapped. We saw in a couple of moments in the fight that Yaya was definitely trying to pull guard, doing everything he could to bring the fight to the ground, but it was not to be. If you have to give it to Ricky Simon, because he understood that whatever you do, avoid the ground game when you're facing Ronnie Yaya. I think that's something that should be taught everywhere. It should be like, don't swim in shark-infested waters. Do not feed animals at the zoo. Don't go to the ground with Ronnie Yaya if you want to live. That should be important life lessons for anybody's kid out there. You're free to steal this from me and use it to make better people out of your kids. And what I guess could be called the co-main event, Marcos Rosa Mariano against Lando Vanata. And Vanata defeated Moreno via submission, Kimura, round one. Rosa Mariano was making his UFC debut against Lando Vanata, and it was a pretty entertaining fight. Lando was coming off of a draw last year. He drew against Matt Frevola, and he lost in UFC 226 against Drakkar Klose. So good for him. He kind of straightened the ship. Hopefully this brings more success to his career. And then we go to the main event of the evening, which was Anderson, the Spider Silva, against Israel Adesanya. I went on this whole trip this past week about how Israel Adesanya was going to take out Anderson Silva, because that's what should happen, because that's good for business and good for the sport in general. And boy, how wrong I was. Honestly, I thought that Anderson was just going to get destroyed by Israel because of, number one, because Israel is just a phenom and a prodigy, and we haven't seen anybody like Israel since Anderson. And it was fitting. The narrative was perfect. Here is this young, no longer up and coming, but on the brink of stardom, young middleweight dog, looking like that old dog looked when he was in his prime. So it was a perfect narrative. It was the perfect moment for Israel Adesanya to just destroy Anderson and send him back to Curitiba or California, where he's living now, I guess, and just send him out to just sit on his rocking chair and just enjoy retired life. But wow, man, Anderson looked great. Anderson at 43 years old, which shows you that once you're a GOAT, like, for sure, there has to be the argument that Anderson Silva is the greatest fighter to ever live is a valid one. It's we're not reaching here. Anderson Silva, at the end of when it's all said and done, very well could be considered the greatest fighter to ever do it in any era. So, for him to be 43 years old, fighting pretty much a mirror image of who he was when he was in his prime, is a beautiful thing. And the fact that he went toe to toe with Israel, he got rocked in that first round with that when he was chasing Israel, and he caught that right hand straight in the chin, and his knees buckled for a second. But even then, like after that, he cleared the cobwebs, like they say, and he even stood in front of Israel with his hands down. He ate a couple shots, but that's Anderson for you. It was an impressive performance. I was really, really impressed with Anderson. You would think that the greatest of all time at 43 years old shouldn't really impress anybody, or there should be no way that he can impress us more than he already has. I was impressed because he actually brought the fight to the young lion, him, Anderson, being the old lion that was ready to be shot in the head and taken out to pasture. But man, this shows you, man, we need to do like an Anderson Silva farewell tour or something, because wow, I don't know. I thought I would never say wow Anderson Silva again, but wow Anderson Silva. He really, that hero that most of us not necessarily grew up with, because in his prime we were pretty much grown already, but the sport of mixed martial arts would never be where it is right now if it wasn't in part for Anderson Silva. He is we couldn't say it any better than he is what Michael Jordan is to basketball, and Tiger Woods is to golf, and maybe, I don't know, Babe Ruth or whoever else is to baseball. Anderson definitely is to MMA. Let's say Jackie Robinson, to keep it Jackie Robinson in baseball. It's along that line. Without a doubt, Anderson Silva is the greatest mixed martial artist to ever live, and quite possibly could be the greatest fighter to ever live. But that's nothing we haven't heard before. But it was still surprising to see how he went toe to toe with the young lion and stood his ground and did not shake. Thank you, Anderson. You're awesome. You're an inspiration. And you are, without a doubt, the GOAT. At Israel, he looked great. He pulled out the victory. I really didn't like that because I was still expecting Israel to just steamroll and within 2 rounds just destroy Anderson and just send him out to back to his home to rest forever. But that was not the case. But Israel looked great. Anyways, he looked great. He showed up to fight. He stood toe to toe with Anderson. He made the best out of the situation. He dominated the fight for sure, and it was a great showing. We never know what's going on with these fighters. There might have been something wrong with him, maybe an injury or something. They're never 100%. But whatever it is, he won the fight. He looked dominant for sure, most of the fight, especially that first round. But congrats to Israel Adesanya. He could very well be the next middleweight champion. Hopefully, I really, really hope so. Hopefully, his next fight is for the middleweight championship, because I think he can beat Whitaker. He can beat Gastelum. He can beat Romero. Romero's a tough fight for everybody, but still, Joel Romero. What's Joel Romero made out of? I don't know. But still, He's up there. But I think Israel can be at least the top 3 or 5 guys for sure. Yeah. So great night of fights as far as MMA is concerned. So now let's move on to boxing. Let's talk about Gervonta Davis. Gervonta Tank Davis destroyed Hugo Ruiz within a round, and it wasn't pretty. It was a 1-2 and a hook that just made him crumble. Hugo Ruiz, made Hugo Ruiz crumble like a tower. Hopefully, Gervonta Davis stays active, because that's the biggest criticism, and it's not even his fault. Which is part of what sucks about boxing, that such a talented boxer, such a star, because Gervonta Davis doesn't really need a lot more to be a star. He's a bona fide star. He just needs to be a little bit more exposed. He's not being exposed, and it's not fair. Hopefully, his promoters and everybody, they understand and focus that Gervonta's not getting any younger, and that he needs to be exposed. Because if he's gonna chase greatness, he needs an opportunity to do so, and they're not doing it, and they're doing him wrong if they don't allow him to. And then we move on to the Zone boxing card, which the co-main event was Rey Vargas against Franklin Manzanilla for the Super Bantamweight WBC Super Bantamweight World Title, in a pretty interesting fight, because at first 2 rounds we saw in the second round we saw Rey Vargas dropped. So the challenger Franklin Manzanilla dropped Rey Vargas, but then the fight started to take a turn for the worse, and then because they Franklin Manzanilla kept tying up, and it started to become a rough kind of fight. The ref might have lost control for a second, but then he took a point off of Manzanilla, and then he took another one also because he pushed him off after he said break or something. But it was after the referee restored order, it became a very interesting fight to watch anyways. And Rey Vargas retained. He's undefeated. He's looking good. Hopefully he also gets more exposure. He looked really, really good most of the rounds. We saw that he gets a little bit uncomfortable when shorter guys get inside. He is humongous. I don't know how he cuts down to 122 pounds. This makes no sense to me. That man is nearly 6 foot tall, and he cuts down to 122. Hopefully he keeps doing it in a healthy way. And he looks good. He doesn't look like a skeleton. He's a thin guy, but still I don't know how he does it. Hopefully he's a healthy guy. He's not putting those kidneys to risk. But hey, that's I know a guy that can explain this better. This whole thing about fighting and weight cutting, and hopefully I have him on the podcast soon. But whenever I confirm, then I'll let you guys know who it is. Very smart guy, a doctor for sure. I'll let you guys know who it is later. But hey, if Rey Vargas can keep cutting weight that way, and he looks like he did today, then hey, more power to him. But I do not think a 5'10", 5'11" man should cut down to 122 pounds ever. Seems unnatural to me. But hey, I'm not in his corner. I'm not his dad. I'm just a guy over here trying to make a podcast. But I get worried about these guys because that's a whole lot of weight. I'm just saying I'm 2 inches, 3 inches taller than the guy, and I'm almost 100 pounds heavier. So I don't know how that works for him, but he looked great. He's the champ, and hopefully he stays champ for a long time because he's a very disciplined fighter for sure. And then the main event of the evening, it was Alberto El Explosivo Machado straight from Puerto Rico in what was supposed to be a tough test against Andrew Cancio, but it became a nightmare. Alberto Machado dropped Andrew Cancio in the first round, and then second round, Cancio looked to have his legs under him again, and then he wobbled Machado in the third round, and then the fourth round, that was the end. Machado got dropped with a body shot, and then he got dropped two more times, and that's a technical knockout. The referee had to stop it. The referee put an end to it. And wow, man, what an upset! Alberto Machado. If you guys don't know, I'm Puerto Rican, and I follow all combat sports, but for sure I follow Puerto Rican athletes, Puerto Rican fighters a little bit closer. And Alberto Machado was pretty much, he still is. He's a talented guy. He's a young guy. Alberto Machado was looking like the next superstar, the next still unproven but very, very talented star for Puerto Rican boxing. But hey, that train got derailed. Unfortunately for us Puerto Rican boxing fans, he lost his undefeated record. And hey, man, Andrew Cancio also deserves a lot of credit. He's a tough guy, journeyman for sure. But he is now the WBA super featherweight champion. What a story too. It's a feel-good story too. He's a hard-working guy. He still has his day job. He almost quit boxing, or I think he did quit boxing for a while, and then he got motivated and started training again. And now he's the WBA super featherweight champion, and that's a beautiful thing. That's what makes us fans too. So even though it sucks because a Puerto Rican fighter lost, hey, it is what it is. You dust yourself off and jump back on the horse. Hopefully Alberto gets his mind right and figures out what happened. It was such a quick fight. Four rounds, less than 4 rounds isn't enough to really determine, but still he did get hit to the body too much. He needs to find a way how to use his length. He's pretty much taller than any fighter he's gonna face at 130, so he needs to figure that out. He needs to stop letting people invade his space and start using that distance constantly. It sounds easy to say because I'm here sitting, making a podcast, recording a podcast, and not actually training with him over there. It's a hard thing, but hey, sometimes these young fighters, sometimes they just need loose and understand that that undefeated record doesn't bring food to the table and doesn't make you better than anybody else. The greatest fighters of all time had defeats in their record too. Let's just not make a habit of it. Alberto is a very, very talented fighter. He is not overrated at all, but he just got caught, man. You get caught with a good shot to the body, you know what can happen. It's not, you can't really hide it after you've been touched to the body by somebody that can do it like Cancio can. Like we always say, you don't play boxing. So that's what happens at the highest level. Also, to recap on last week's Glory Kickboxing event, which is last Friday, coming straight from the Arena Theater in Houston, Texas. Friday, February 1st, so a little bit over a week ago. Just to go over it, the main card, Asa Tenpao won by unanimous decision against Nate Richardson. That was a featherweight fight. Then Laurent Nelson and Wenxing Zhang. By split decision, Wenxing Zhang beat Laurent Nelson. Then we had Richard Abraham against Charles Rodriguez. Unanimous decision victory for Richard Abraham. The co-headline, it was Omari Boyd against Troy Jones. Jones takes the victory by unanimous decision. And then the main event for the featherweight championship, it was the champion Pet Panorum Kamun Kao. That Glory Kickboxing Glory 63 card was pretty good. They had Troy Jones. He became the number one ranked welterweight, so keep an eye on him. He's gonna be trouble. But hopefully, Glory Kickboxing picks up a little more steam. I love Glory Kickboxing. Maybe this is the Glory Kickboxing is in this middle area that a lot of people don't really understand. But for example, when we watch MMA, if there's a bunch of casual fans watching an event, and all of a sudden we have some sort of like a big grappling match going on inside the octagon or in any MMA fight, most people start booing. They don't really like it. They don't understand it. But same people that don't want to watch boxing because it's just too simple, just two fighters with just hands is what they see. So the in between has to be kickboxing, which is a perfect blend of hands and feet, punches and kicks, some clinch. But for some reason, it doesn't pick up the steam that it should. Hopefully, it does. Hopefully, over here, because Netherlands and Europe and in Japan, kickboxing always has a heavy fan base. Hopefully, over here in the States, it picks up a little more because there's a lot of talented people fighting there, and at least they're taking it all over the world. Glory Kickboxing, I mean, and then they touch a lot of corners of the world that are avid kickboxing fans. But that and lion fights, I don't know why Glory Kickboxing and lion fights, Muay Thai, never picked up the steam that it should. Maybe because there's just too much content out there, I guess. But 3 products that I would really want people to just check it out. It's Glory Kickboxing, Lion Fights Muay Thai, and Bellator Kickboxing too. They had Raymond Daniels as their champion not so long ago too, and they had Joe Schilling, and they were looking great. Actually, Paul Semtex Daly fought with them too. Paul Daly and MVP are coming up. That is next Saturday, February 16th. Bellator 216, which coming to you from the Mohegan Sun Arena in Connecticut. And their main card looks pretty stacked. We have the co-main. The main event is going to be obviously Michael Venom Page against Paul Daly. The heavyweight co-main is Czech Congo against Vitaly Minakov. Vitaly Minakov is 20-0. And this fight against Czech Congo is a rematch of the heavyweight world championship match that they had almost 5 years ago, April 2014, in which Vitaly Minakov won by unanimous decision. Then he went back to Russia and fought 7 fights in Russia with Fight Nights Global. Most of them, all of them with Fight Nights Global. And now he re-signed with Bellator, and he's gonna fight Czech Congo once again. He's actually 21-0. He's not 20-0. He's 21-0. That's what I see here in his record. Watch out for that. That could be the fight of the night. After that, or before that, we have Mirko Cro Cop against Roy Nelson. Whew, man, if if I were in each of these guys' corners, I don't know. I don't know what you could tell these people. These men have done this for so long. Hey, Miracle Cro Cop has 49 MMA fights. Roy Nelson has 39 MMA fights. What else can you tell them if you're in their corner besides, I don't know, put your hands up and don't get knocked out? There's a welterweight feature fight. Yaroslav Amosov, 20-0, from the Ukraine against Anderon Silva, 29-0, 20 victories, 9 losses, from Brazil, which comes after Valery Loreda against Colby Fletcher. Valery Loreda 2-1-0, and Colby Fletcher 1-2-0. This is a women's flyweight feature, and that is the main card. I'm really looking forward to this main card for sure. Not only because the main event, MVP against Paul Daly, which when you look at Paul Daly's record, good grief, he has 58 MMA fights, and that man, he can still rock anybody with that left hand. He has power in both hands, but if he catches you with the left hook, you are not getting back up. And MVP, what a guy, right? He's done so much in short time because he only has 13 MMA fights. Granted, there are 13 victories. He's 13-0, but wow. Hopefully they go the distance and give us a classic for sure. But that event is gonna be great. Remember, next Saturday night, Saturday, February 16th, coming at you from the Mohegan Sun Arena in Connecticut. Or you can enjoy it on the Zone. I have the Zone app too, so please enjoy it. Or do whatever you want to do, but I'm going to watch it. I think this is going to be it for today. I hope I was of some assistance, bringing you my reaction to Saturday night's MMA and boxing cards. It was a great night of fights. A little disappointed because of Alberto Machado's defeat, but hey, it is what it is. You live and you learn. So, Gervonta Davis, impressive. Andrew Cancio, impressive. Anderson Silva, impressive. Israel Adesanya too. So I think that's it. I don't really want to bother you guys anymore. So yeah. For Angel's Combat World, this is Angel. Thank you. Take care. And share, please. Share, like, subscribe on YouTube, all that good stuff. Thank you so much. It's always a pleasure. Peace.